Here are solutions to homework set number 6 for ECE 211 Circuits 1. This homework set looks at capacitors, inductors, complex numbers, and phasors. Now the first problem is, given an RC circuit, find the voltage at V1 and V2, assuming that the input is a constant that turns on at t equals 0. So the input is 0, jumps to 3 volts at t equals 0. What happens at V1 and V2? So what's going to happen is that V1 is going to start charging up and V2 will start charging up. To figure out what those curves are, we need to find the differential equations that describe the circuit, then solve. And that's part of the reason that you have to take Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, Calc 4. Anytime you're dealing with a circuit with capacitors and inductors, it's described by differential equations, which is pretty much everything you're ever going to see. There are a few resistors or circuits with just resistors, but usually you have capacitors and inductors as well. So the first step is to find the differential equation that describes the circuit. And the basic equation is that I equals C dV dt. So I1 is the current from the left, V0 minus V1 over 10K, plus the current up, 0 minus V1 over 30K, plus the current from the right, V2 minus V1 over 10K. Current in equals current out. The current out is C dV dt. So that's one differential equation that describes the circuit. Similarly, go at node voltage V2. Find I2. I2 is C dV dt. That's V1 minus V2 over 10K plus 0 minus V2 over 30K. That's C dV dt. These are the differential equations that describe that circuit. On a test, you might stop right here. On a homework set, I can go further. So if I plug in C and solve, I get, here's the differential equation for V1 and V2. For problem 2, it's solve. Solve using numerical techniques. And there's a couple ways to solve. You can solve using Laplace transforms. You'll cover that, I think, next semester. You can solve using MATLAB and numerical methods. That'll be this homework set. To solve using numerical methods, I've got the differential equations for V1 and V2. I start out at 0 volts. Here's my integration step size. I'm going to run for 0.1 second. At any given time, I know the slope. Integrate, that gives me V1 at 100 microseconds. Move forward in time, 200 microseconds, 300, keep on going. And that's using numerical integration. Not the world's best form of integration. This is Euler integration. It's simple, that's why I like it, and it's not too bad. If I do that, here is your V1, and here's V2. So there you just solved a second-order differential equation using numerical techniques in MATLAB. Basically, MATLAB is really powerful, really useful. To check your answer, one way to check is build the circuit in Circuit Lab, make this a step input, turns on at t equals 0, of amplitude of 3 volts, and then measure what is V0, V1, V2. I'm going to measure it 400 milliseconds, make the step size 1,000 times smaller, 100 microseconds, let her rip, and here's what I get, same results. So this is your V0, my 3 volt step, here's your V1, here's your V2. Same answer we got in MATLAB, and that's really what Circuit Lab is doing. It is taking the differential equation for the circuit and solving using numerical techniques, and you get the same voltage we got with MATLAB using numerical techniques. Circuit Lab uses a better form of numerical integration, but same idea. Third way is to build that circuit. So if I build the circuit right here, use my signal generator to output a 0 volt, 3 volt square wave. That's a V0. Here's my 10K capacitor, 10K capacitor, resistor to ground. Measure the voltage of V1, V2. This one is V1 in blue, V2 is in yellow. Same thing I got in Circuit Lab, same thing I got in MATLAB. And kind of a sidelight, the input should be a step for all time. This should go out to infinity. About right here, where's my time per division? 20 milliseconds per division. So 2, 4, 6, 8. At about 100 milliseconds, I've reached steady state. Once you reach steady state, nothing's changing. So what I could do is apply another step coming in. This is kind of one way to simulate a step input in hardware. I actually apply a square wave input, make the period long enough that I reach steady state. Once I reach steady state, I can apply the next part of the square wave. If I make the frequency too high, I'll switch before I reach steady state, and then it's really hard to compare the result for a square wave to result for a step input. So that's kind of one trick in hardware. You can simulate a step input, just use a square wave and make the period long enough that I reach steady state. Okay, going on to problem number 5. With inductors, I can do this similar thing. Given a two-stage RL circuit, this is described by a second-order differential equation, and I know that because I've got two ways to store energy, two inductors. Therefore, this will be described by a second-order differential equation. For inductors, the basic equation is that V is L di dt. So this voltage right here is the inductance times the change in current. So if I can calculate that voltage, I know what the differential equation is for current. So doing the loop current around IA, I get minus 10 plus 10 IA plus this voltage, which is L di dt, 0.2 IA prime, plus 33 IA minus IB equals 0. Second one, do the loop equation, I get 33 IB minus IA plus 20 IB plus this voltage, that's L di dt, plus 33 IB equals 0, and poof. There are your two first-order differential equations, coupled first-order differential equations that describe the circuit. To solve, I group the terms, solve for the derivatives. Those are the two differential equations I need to integrate to find the currents versus time. I can use MATLAB, kind of similar. In MATLAB, I start out with zero current. Again, for a step input, the voltage is a 0. Therefore, the currents are 0. Starting at 0 amps for I0, IA, and IB, I'll find the derivative, integrate using numerical techniques, and then just so I can plot the voltages, V1 is 33 IA minus IB, V2 is 33 IB. I'll calculate the voltages and then save them. I'll then plot when I'm done. So when I'm done, these are the currents. This is IA and IB. Oops. Other way around. This is V1, V2. And this is your IA and IB. Solve using numerical techniques. To check your answer, I can throw it into Circuit Lab, build the circuit, apply step input, and see where the voltage is, V0, V1, V2. And same thing I got using MATLAB. Same settling times, same steady state voltages. In this one, you don't actually build it in hardware, just because inductors are kind of hard to find. They're expensive, they're bulky, they have a lot of resistance, they're not very ideal. But for a little bit more money, you could build this. You're already doing one lap portion of the test on the homework set. That's kind of why we didn't do this one. Next part, complex numbers. If I have a sine wave input, well, when I'm dealing with a constant input, I can solve these differential equations using numerical techniques. If I want to solve for other inputs, it gets harder. One of the inputs that's really nice is a sine wave. Sine waves are eigenfunctions. But to analyze circuits with sine waves, I need to use complex numbers. So the next part of the course, we're going to be looking at sinusoidal inputs. Before we get there, let's get some practice using complex numbers. Here is a function with complex numbers, solve for y. Now this is something that MATLAB is really good at. It's just almost the way you write it. 2 plus 3j times 6 minus 5j over 8 plus 2j. Here's your complex number. If you want to do it on a calculator, when you get to tests, you need a calculator that can do complex numbers. If your calculator can't do this problem, you need a new calculator. For 211 online, you can use MATLAB. For in-person classes, there currently is not an in-person version of MATLAB available, or a calculator that does MATLAB. You need another calculator. One that I highly recommend is the HP42. It does complex numbers really, really well. So here's kind of how it works. HPs are a little bit weird. There is no equals button. To use them, I use the stack. So to add, I have to put the numbers on the stack. So if I want to say 2 plus 3, say 2, enter 3. The stack is now set up. I can add them. Multiply by 7. The HPs automatically do a push command, so I don't need to hit enter. So the stack is set up. 5 times 7 is 35. To do a complex number, there's this complex key. So to do that, I would say 2 plus 3j. 2, enter 3, complex. So there's the first number. 6, enter -5, complex. Once the stack is set up, I can multiply. 8, enter 2, complex, divide. HPs work really, really well with complex numbers. Basically, HP is a company of electrical engineers, and surprise, surprise, they build really, really good calculators for electrical computer engineers. Number 9 is do partial fraction expansion with complex numbers. Now, I know the answer is going to look like, one more term I forgot. It will look something like this. I've got 4 terms in the denominator. I'll have 4 terms when I solve. To solve, I'll use the cover-up method. To find a, I'll cover up the x, plug in x equals 0, and to get a is 36. To find b, there's this guy right here, I'll use the cover-up method, cover up this term, analyze at x equals -1, and I get b is -50. Likewise for c and d, these will be complex numbers. If your calculator doesn't mind complex numbers like MATLAB, you don't care. Using the cover-up method, here's C, here's D. So when I'm done, that's the partial fraction expansion. Number 10. With phasors, I can represent sine waves. A cosine is a peak at t equals 0. If it's delayed, that is my phase shift. So in graphical form, polar form actually works better. I've got an amplitude at an angle. The amplitude is the peak. That's really easy to pull off. The angle is the delay. So for example, for x, here the peak is about 5.8. The delay is this far, about 1.8 seconds. The period, going 0 crossing to 0 crossing, is 4 seconds, 4 milliseconds. So the phase shift is this percentage of one cycle. One cycle is 360 degrees. So x is minus 162 degrees. So this is the phasor representation for x. And you can kind of see it by inspection. The peak is the amplitude. The delay is the angle. Likewise for y. The peak is about 8.4, 8.5. The delay is about 0.7 milliseconds. Period is 4 milliseconds. Delay is 63. So this is y. Then the impedance is just volts over amps. Whatever I'm measuring is 682 ohms at minus 99 degrees. Finally, find the impedance of this network. So here I'm adding resistors in series and parallel. I can do that in MATLAB. In series they add, so this is 25 plus J60. In parallel is the sum of the inverses inverted. In series add, in parallel, sum of the inverses inverted. So MATLAB, I can find it. The total impedance is 31 plus J10. I can do that on an HP calculator. So this is a good test for your calculator. If you can do this, you got a good calculator. If not, you need a new calculator. So the first one, let's do 25 plus J60. 25 enter 60. There's this guy. In parallel 75. In parallel, the inverses add. So take the inverse, 75 inverse, add the inverses, take the inverse. This is 33 plus J24 ohms. Add to it 40 minus J20. So 40, enter negative 20 complex. They're both on the stack. Add them. So this is 73 plus J4 ohms. In parallel, the inverses add. So take the inverse, 50, enter 30. This complex number. Take its inverse, add the inverses, take the inverse, and there's the answer, 31 plus J10. Finally, similar problem. These two add in parallel, in series, parallel, series. I can do that in MATLAB, get 74 minus J31. I can do that with an HP. So with an HP, I would do 130 in parallel with minus J140. 0, enter, 140, negative, complex. Take the inverse, add the inverses, take the inverse. This is 69 minus J64 ohms. In series, these add 40, enter 60, complex, add. In parallel, so take the inverse, 0, enter 120, add, take this inverse, 100, inverse, add, inverse. So all this together is 44 plus J18 ohms. In series with 30 minus J50, add, gives you 74 minus J31 ohms. So that is homework set number 6 for Circuits 1.